Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the U.E.'s Defiant, watching the stars through the main view screen. The ship had been traveling through deep space for 3 weeks now, mapping new systems and looking for signs of life. So far, they had found nothing but empty planets and cold asteroids. "Captain," said Lieutenant Commander Lisa Brooks from her science station, "I'm picking up something strange on the long-range sensors." Jake turned to face her. Lisa was one of the best science officers in the fleet, and she never called something strange unless it really was. "What kind of strange?" "3 large objects, moving in formation, about 2 light minutes ahead of us. They're too big to be asteroids, and they're definitely not natural." Commander Tony Walsh, the ship's first officer, looked up from his console. "Could be ships, Captain. First contact, maybe?" Jake felt his heart beat faster. First contact with an alien species was something every captain dreamed about. It was also something that could go very wrong if not handled properly. "How big are we talking about, Lisa?" "Each one is roughly twice the size of the Defiant, sir. They're maintaining perfect formation and heading straight for us." Jake nodded slowly. The Defiant was already a large ship, carrying a crew of 400 people. If these alien vessels were twice as big, they probably had much larger crews and possibly more weapons. "Tony, sound general quarters. All hands to battle stations, but keep weapons powered down. We don't want to look threatening." The bridge. Lights dimmed to red as the alert klaxons sounded throughout the ship. Jake could hear the sound of running feet in the corridors as his crew rushed to their stations. Within minutes, all departments reported ready. "Ensign Carter," Jake said, to the young woman at the communications console, "open a channel on all frequencies. Let's see if we can talk to them." Amy Carter nodded and began working at her station. She was new to the crew, but had already proven herself skilled at handling complex communication systems. "Channel open, Captain. Broadcasting on all standard frequencies." Jake cleared his throat. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Earth vessel U.S. Defiant. We come in peace and wish to establish friendly contact. Please respond." For several minutes, there was only silence. Then Amy's console lit up with activity. "I'm getting a response, Captain. The signal is strange, but our computers are working to translate it." The view screen flickered, and suddenly they were looking at an alien face. The creature had gray skin, large yellow eyes, and what looked like small horns growing from its forehead. When it spoke, the universal translator made its voice sound deep and threatening. "Human vessel, I am War Leader Kethfer of the Vex High. Empire, you have entered our space without permission. State your purpose or be destroyed." Jake tried to keep his voice calm and friendly. "War Leader Kethfer, we didn't know this was your territory. We are explorers from Earth, seeking peaceful contact with other species. We mean no harm." The alien's yellow eyes seemed to glow brighter. "You lie, human. Your ship performed a scan of our vessels. This is an act of war among the Vex High. Number: one may scan our ships without permission." Jake looked at Lisa, who nodded. Standard procedure was to scan any unknown objects they encountered. It was how they gathered basic information about size, composition, and potential threats. "War Leader, the scan was passive only. We were simply trying to identify your ships. It's standard procedure for us. There is no such thing as an innocent scan, human. Your sensors have violated the sacred privacy of our vessels. However, since you claim ignorance, we will give you one warning. Perform no more scans of our ships, or we will consider it an act of aggression." Jake felt relief wash over him. At least they were willing to talk instead of shooting first. "We understand, War Leader. We will not scan your ships again. Perhaps we could arrange a more formal meeting? Our governments might benefit from establishing diplomatic relations. The aliens seem to consider this." Your species is new to us, humans. We have heard rumors of your existence, but never encountered you directly. You are smaller than we expected. And your ship is ... adequate. Tony leaned over and whispered to Jake. He doesn't seem very impressed with us, Captain. Jake nodded, but kept his attention on the alien leader. We would be honored to learn more about the HFY Empire war leader. Perhaps we could meet in neutral space? Perhaps, Kethver replied. But first, you must understand our ways. The HFY are a proud warrior race. We have conquered many worlds and defeated many enemies. Our ships carry sacred artifacts that must never be scanned or examined by outsiders. This is our most important law. We respect your customs, war leader. Our scans were not intended to violate your sacred laws. Good, then we will speak more. But remember, human, any further scanning of our vessels will be considered an act of war. We will not give a second warning. The transmission ended, and the view screen returned to showing the 3 alien ships. Jake let out a breath he didn't realize he had been holding. First contact was always dangerous, but this seemed to be going well. Lisa, make sure all active scans are shut down. We don't want any accidents. Already done, Captain. All sensors are in passive mode only. Good. Amy, prepare a message for Earth Command. Let them know we've made contact with a new species called the HFY. Include everything we've learned so far. Yes, sir. Jake looked at the alien ships on the screen. They were massive and clearly built for war, but the war leader seemed willing to talk. Maybe this would be the beginning of a new friendship between their species. He had no idea how wrong he was about to be. 2 hours had passed since the first contact with the HFY. Jake Morrison sat in his captain's chair, watching the alien ships maintain their position relative to the Defiant. The diplomatic talks had been going well, with both sides sharing basic information about their cultures and territories. War leader Kethvar had explained that the HFY controlled several star systems in this region of space. They were a military-focused society that valued strength and honor above all else. In return, Jake had shared basic information about humanity and Earth, being careful not to reveal too much about their military capabilities. Captain said. Chief Petty Officer Ben Taylor from the sensor station. I'm getting some weird readings from our navigation array. The gravitational field around that asteroid belt is playing havoc with our systems. Jake looked at the main screen, where a large field of asteroids stretched across their path. They had been slowly drifting toward it during the talks, and now the massive rocks were close enough to be a real danger. How bad is it, Chief? Pretty bad, sir. The array is having trouble calculating safe passage. We're going to need to either back away or find another route around. Before Jake could respond, the ship shuddered slightly. Dr. Karen Miller's voice came over the intercom from sickbay. Captain, we just lost artificial gravity in sections 7 through 12. Whatevers. Affecting the navigation system is getting worse. Jake frowned. The Defiant was a well-built ship, but even the best technology could have problems with unexpected gravitational fields. Chief Taylor, how long do we have before we drift into the asteroid field? At our current speed, about 20 minutes. Sir, but if the navigation system fails completely, we might not be able to avoid the bigger rocks. Can you get us out of here without using active sensors? Ben Taylor looked worried. Sir, I'd need to do a full spectrum scan to map the safest path through the asteroids. A passive sensors can't give us enough detail to navigate safely. Jake felt a cold knot form in his stomach. The HFY had been very clear about their rules regarding scans. But if they didn't scan the asteroid field, the Defiant might crash into one of the massive rocks and be destroyed. Captain, Tony Walsh said quietly, maybe we should explain the situation to the HFY. They might understand that this is an emergency. Amy, open a channel to the Vex-High flagship. Channel open, sir. War Leader Kethver's face appeared on the screen again. What is it, human? We were discussing the details of our proposed meeting. War Leader, we have a problem. Our ship is drifting toward an asteroid field, and our navigation systems are failing. We need to perform an active scan to map a safe path out of here. The alien's yellow eyes narrowed. You agreed not to scan in our presence, human. This sounds like a trick. It's not a trick, War Leader. Our ship is in real danger. The scan would be directed at the asteroids, not your vessels. All scans are forbidden while we are present. This is final. The transmission ended abruptly. Jake stared at the blank screen, not believing what he had just heard. The Vex-High were willing to let his ship be destroyed rather than allow any kind of scan. Captain, Chief Taylor said urgently, we're running out of time. The gravitational field is getting stronger. Jake looked around his bridge at his crew. These people were depending on him to keep them safe. He had 400 souls under his command, and he wasn't going to let them die because of some alien cultural taboo. Chief Taylor, perform the scan. Full spectrum, focused on the asteroid field only. Sir, what about the Vex-High? They'll have to understand that I won't let my crew die for their customs. Do it. Ben Taylor's hands moved quickly over his console. Beginning active scan now, Captain. I'm keeping the beam as narrow as possible and aimed away from the alien ships. The Defiant sensors reached out, mapping the complex gravitational fields and plotting safe passages through the asteroid belt. Within seconds, they had a clear path to safety. Got it, Captain. Uploading the navigation data now. But as the scan continued, something went wrong. The gravitational field shifted unexpectedly, and the sensor beam swept across the area where the Vex-High ships were positioned. For just a moment, the active scan touched the hull of War Leader Kethver's flagship. Oh no, Ben Taylor whispered. Captain, the scan beam hit their ship. It was only for a second, but ... Jake felt his blood turn to ice. The Vex-High had said that scanning their ships was an act of war. And now, despite all their precautions, they had done exactly that. Amy, try to reach the Vex-High. We need to explain what happened. I'm trying, sir, but they're not responding. On the main screen, the 3 alien ships began to move. Their formation changed from a peaceful patrol pattern to what was clearly a battle formation. Weapon ports opened along their hulls, and Jake could see energy building in what looked like massive cannons. Captain, Tony Walsh said quietly, they're charging weapons. Finally, War Leader Kethver's face appeared on the screen again. But this time, his expression was filled with rage. Human, you have broken your word. You have violated our most sacred law. Your scan has desecrated our holy vessels. War Leader, please listen. It was an accident. Our ship was in danger, and the scan beam was deflected by the gravitational field. We never intended to scan your ships. Lies. You humans are all the same. You speak of peace while you spy on others. You have seen what must never be seen. Jake didn't understand what the alien meant. The scan had only lasted a second, and it was just basic sensor data. What could be so terrible about that? War Leader, we didn't learn anything from the scan. Our computers barely registered your ship before the beam moved away. It does not matter what you learned, human. The act itself is the violation. You have looked upon our sacred cargo with your machines. This cannot be forgiven. Sacred cargo? Jake asked, but the alien continued. Without answering, you will surrender the one who performed the scan. He will be brought to our ship for judgment and execution. You have 1 hour to comply. The transmission ended again, leaving Jake staring at a blank screen. The Vex-High wanted him to hand over Chief Taylor to be executed for trying to save the ship. Captain, Lisa Brooks said from her station, I'm reading massive energy buildups on all 3 alien ships. They're preparing for battle. Jake looked at his crew. They were all watching him, waiting for his orders. Chief Taylor looked pale but determined. Captain, I'll go if it means saving the ship. No, Chief. You were following my orders. No one on this ship gets handed over to aliens for execution. But Captain, they have 3 ships and we only have 1. If we fight, then we fight, Jake said firmly. But first, I want to know what they're really hiding on those ships. Lisa. What? Did our scan pick up in that 1 second? Lisa worked at her console, pulling up the sensor data. The scan was very brief, Captain. But this is strange. I'm reading massive life signs aboard their ships. Far more than would be needed for a normal crew. How many more? Each ship appears to be carrying at least 1,000 people, sir. But the biosignatures are mixed. Some appear to be Vex high, but others ... She paused, her face going pale. Captain, some of these readings match human life signs. Jake felt his anger building. Humans? Are you sure? The biosignatures are definitely human, sir. And they're not in the crew sections of the ships. They appear to be in what looks like cargo holds or prison cells. The pieces began to fall into place. The Vex High's anger about the scan, their talk of sacred cargo, and now the discovery of human prisoners on their ships. War leader Kethvar hadn't been worried about cultural taboos. He had been worried about being caught with human captives. Captain, Amy Carter said, incoming transmission from the Vex High. Put it on screen. Kethvar's face appeared again, his expression cold and threatening. Human captain, you have 30 minutes remaining. Surrender the one who performed the scan, or we will destroy your ship. Jake stood up from his chair, feeling calmer than he had in hours. The situation was clear now. These weren't noble warriors following sacred traditions. They were slavers and kidnappers, and they had just made a very big mistake. War leader Kethvar, I have a counter-proposal. You will release any human prisoners you're holding, and then you will leave this system immediately. The alien's eyes widened in surprise. You dare make demands? You are outnumbered 3-1. Jake smiled coldly. You're about to learn something about humans, war leader. We don't abandon our people, and we don't surrender to bullies. You have 5 minutes to begin releasing those prisoners. Impossible. You are weak, frightened creatures. You will surrender when you face real warriors. We'll see about that, Jake said, and signaled Amy to cut the transmission. The die was cast. War was coming, and Jake Morrison was ready for it. Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Defiant, watching the 3 Vex High ships move into attack formation. The alien vessels were massive, their dark hulls bristling with weapons that were now charging with deadly energy. War leader Kethvar had made his choice, and now Jake had to make his. Tony, call all senior staff to the conference room. We need to talk. Sir, we only have a few minutes before they attack. And we better talk fast. Jake led his officers into the small conference room behind the bridge. Lisa Brooks, Tony Walsh, Lieutenant Dan Rogers from Tactical, and Petty Officer Sue Martinez from Engineering all took their seats around the table. Their faces were grim but determined. All right, people, let's see what we're dealing with. Lisa, what else did that scan tell us? Lisa pulled up her tablet and began reading. The 3 ships are definitely older technology, Captain. Their hulls are thick, but the metal composition suggests they're at least 50 years behind our current standards. Their weapon systems appear to be plasma-based, powerful, but slow to charge. What about their defenses? Heavy armor plating, but no energy shields that I can detect. Their main advantage is size and numbers. Lieutenant Dan Rogers spoke up. Captain, I've been running tactical analysis. Those ships are big and tough, but they're not as advanced as they look. Their weapons are positioned for long-range bombardment, not close combat, if we can get in close. What are you thinking, Dan? Sir, our weapons are smaller, but much more precise. We could potentially disable their engines or weapon systems without destroying the ships entirely. Jake nodded. What about the human prisoners? Any way to get them out? Sue Martinez cleared her throat. Captain, I've been monitoring their communications. Their security is pretty basic compared to our systems. I might be able to hack into their computers and find out more about where the prisoners are being held. Do it. What else do we know about these Vexi? Lisa looked at her notes again. From what war leader Kethfer told us, they're a warrior culture that values strength above everything else. They seem to view other species as either threats to be destroyed or resources to be exploited. And they clearly see us as weak, Tony added. Kethfer keeps talking about how we're frightened and will surrender easily. Jake felt a cold anger building in his chest. The Vexi had attacked human colonies, taken prisoners, and now expected him to hand over one of his crew members for execution. They thought humans were weak and cowardly. Captain, Sue Martinez said, working on her portable computer, I'm getting into their communication systems. Give me a few more minutes. Dan, what's our realistic chance of winning this fight? The tactical officer considered the question carefully. Sir, if this was a straight-up battle with conventional tactics, we'd probably lose. 3 against 1, and their ships are bigger. But if we can use our superior technology and maneuverability, spit it out, Dan. I think we can win, Captain. But it's going to be close, and we'll need to be smart about it. Jake looked around, a table at his officers. These people had served with him for 3 years, and he trusted them completely. Before we make any final decisions, I want to know what we're really fighting for. Sue, what did you find? Sue Martinez looked up from her computer, her face pale. Captain, it's worse than we thought. I've accessed their prisoner manifests. They're holding humans from at least 5 different colony ships. Some of these people have been captives for over 2 years. How many? Nearly 3,000 people, sir. Men, women, children. They're being used as slave labor to mine asteroids and build Vex-High installations. The room fell silent. Jake felt his hands clench into fists. 3,000 human beings, stolen from their homes and families, forced to work for their alien captors. There's more, Captain, Sue continued. I found communication logs between the Vex-High ships and their home fleet. They're planning to attack more human colonies. This was supposed to be a scouting mission to test our defenses. Test our defenses? Yes, sir. They've been watching us for months, trying to figure out how strong we really are. When they encountered us out here, they saw it as the perfect opportunity to see how humans react under pressure. Jake stood up slowly. So this whole thing, the anger about the scan, the threats, it was all a test? Partly, sir. They really do consider scanning their ships to be an insult, but they were also trying to see if we'd fight back or just give up. And what conclusion did they reach? Tony Walsh answered that question. They think we're weak, Captain. Kethverse, in reporting back to his commanders that humans are easily frightened and will surrender when faced with superior force. Jake walked to the small window in the conference room and looked out at the Vex-High ships. They were beautiful in their own way, sleek and deadly, but they carried the screams of 3,000 human prisoners. Captain, Lisa Brooks said quietly, there's something else. The scan data shows that the Vex-High ships are carrying advanced terraforming equipment. Human terraforming equipment. Stolen from the colonies? Yes, sir. They're not just taking prisoners, they're taking our technology too. Jake made his decision. All right, people, here's what we're going to do. We're going to show War Leader Kethver exactly how weak humans really are. He turned back to face his officers. Then, I want you to prepare all weapon systems. Sue, keep working on their computers. I want to know everything about their ship. Layouts, especially where the prisoners are being held. Lisa, monitor their communications. Tony, prepare the ship for combat. Captain, Tony said carefully, are you sure about this? We're talking about starting a war with an alien species. Tony, they started this war when they attacked our colonies and took our people. We're just going to finish it. Jake walked back to his chair. There's something else you all need to know. This ship, the Defiant, isn't exactly what it appears to be. His officers looked at him in confusion. Sir? Dan Rogers asked. The Defiant is part of a new class of ships designed by Earth Command. We look like a science vessel, but we're actually a fully armed warship. Our weapons and defenses are hidden, but they're there. Sue Martinez's eyes widened. That's why. Our engineering sections are so heavily shielded. I always wondered about that. Earth Command learned a long time ago that we might encounter hostile aliens. So they built ships that could explore and conduct diplomacy, but could also fight when necessary. Jake activated a hidden control panel on the table. Computer, authorization Morrison Alpha 7. Activate combat protocols. The lights in there. Conference room dimmed, and they could hear the sound of machinery moving throughout the ship. Hidden panels opened in the hull, revealing weapon ports and defensive systems that hadn't been there moments before. Ladies and gentlemen, Jake said. With a grim smile, meet the real U.S. Defiant. Lisa Brooks looked amazed. Captain, how long have you known about this? Since the day I took command. Every captain in the exploration fleet knows. We're diplomats first, but we're warriors when we need to be. And the crew? The senior staff? All know. The rest of the crew is about to find out. Jake stood up and headed for the door. All right, people, let's go show the Vex High what happens when you mess with humans. As they filed out of the conference room, Jake felt a strange calm settle over him. The Vex High had made their choice when they decided to test human resolve. Now they were about to learn that some tests have very dangerous consequences. Captain, Amy Carter called out as they returned to the bridge. Incoming transmission from the Vex High flagship. Put it on screen. War Leader Kethver's face appeared, his expression confident and threatening. Human Captain, your time is up. Surrender the one who performed the scan, or we will destroy your ship. Jake smiled coldly. War Leader, I have a message for you and your commanders back home. You wanted to test human resolve? You wanted to see how we react under pressure. What are you talking about, weak human? You're about to find out that humans are a lot stronger than you think. And when word of this gets back to Earth, your people are going to learn what happens when you take our citizens prisoner. Kethver's eyes narrowed. You threaten us? You are one small ship against 3 mighty warriors of the Vex High Empire. We'll see about that, Jake said, and signaled Amy to cut the transmission. The war was about to begin. Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Defiant, watching the Vex High ships move into their final attack positions. The alien vessels had spread out in a triangle formation, trying to surround the smaller human ship. War Leader Kethver clearly believed this would be a quick and easy victory. All stations report ready for combat, Captain, Tony Walsh announced. Good. Open a channel to the entire ship. Amy Carter nodded. Ship-wide channel open, sir. Jake activated the intercom. This is the captain speaking. In a few minutes, we're going to be in a fight with 3 alien warships. These aliens have been attacking human colonies and taking our people as slaves. They have 3,000 human prisoners on their ships right now. He paused, looking around the bridge at his crew. The Vex High think we're weak. They think we'll surrender, rather. Then fight. They're about to learn how wrong they are. All hands, prepare for combat. Morrison out. Captain, Lieutenant Dan Rogers, called from the tactical station. The HFY ships are charging weapons. They'll be ready to fire in about 2 minutes. Sue, any luck with their computer systems? Petty Officer Sue Martinez looked up from her. Station. I'm in, Captain. I've got complete access to their ship layouts and systems. The prisoners are being held in the lower decks of each ship, in sections that are heavily shielded. Can you get them out? Not remotely, sir. But I can unlock the doors and disable the security systems when the time comes. Jake nodded. Do it. Dan, are all our weapons ready? Yes, sir. All plasma cannons charged, quantum torpedoes loaded and ready. What about our new toys? Dan Rogers smiled grimly. The pulse weapons are online, Captain. The HFY have never seen anything like them. Jake looked at the main screen, where the 3 alien ships were now glowing with weapon energy. Lisa, what's their most likely attack pattern? Based on their formation, they'll probably try to hit us from 3 sides at once. Their weapons are designed for long-range bombardment, so they'll want to keep their distance. That's what I thought. Dan, prepare evasive maneuvers. We're going to get in close where their big guns can't track us effectively. Incoming transmission from the HFY flagship, Amy announced. Put it on screen. War Leader Kethvor appeared, his alien features twisted with anger. Human Captain, you have refused our generous offer. Now you will die like the weak creature. You are. War Leader, Jake replied calmly. Before we start shooting, I want you to know something. You've made a serious mistake. What mistake? We are 3 ships against 1. You cannot win. The mistake was thinking that humans are weak. You see, War Leader, humans learned something a long time ago. We learned that if you want peace, you have to be prepared for war. Kethver's yellow eyes narrowed. Empty words from a frightened captain. We'll see. But I want you to remember this conversation when you're explaining to your superiors how you lost 3 warships to 1 human vessel. The alien leader laughed harshly. Impossible. Our ships are twice the size of yours. Our weapons are superior. Our warriors are trained from birth for battle. Your ships are bigger, Jake admitted. But bigger doesn't always mean better. You're about to learn the difference. Enough talk. All ships open fire. The transmission ended, and immediately the space around the Defiant lit up with plasma fire. The HFY ships unleashed their full weapons power, sending massive energy bolts streaking toward the human vessel. Evasive maneuvers. Jake ordered. The Defiant twisted and spun through space, dodging the incoming fire with an agility that clearly surprised the HFY. The alien weapons were powerful but slow, and the human ship was much more maneuverable than its size suggested. Their weapons are missing us by hundreds of meters, Dan Rogers reported. They're not used to fighting. Smaller, faster ships. Good. Take us in close to the lead ship. I want to show them what our weapons can do. The Defiant accelerated toward Kethver's flagship, weaving between the plasma bolts like a dancer avoiding raindrops. The HFY ship tried to adjust its aim, but the human vessel was moving too fast and too unpredictably. In range, Captain, Dan announced. Fire. The Defiant's hidden weapons ports opened, and a barrage of energy struck the HFY flagship. But these weren't the slow, heavy plasma bolts the aliens were used to. These were rapid-fire pulse weapons. That struck like a machine gun made of lightning. The alien ship's shields flared and failed under the intense barrage. The pulse weapons found gaps in the armor plating and struck vital systems with surgical precision. Direct hits on their weapon systems and engines, Dan reported. They're dead in space. On the main screen, Jake could see the HFY flagship, drifting helplessly, its weapons dark and its engines silent. The other two alien ships hesitated, clearly shocked by how quickly their leader had been defeated. "Captain," Amy Carter said, "incoming transmission from the second Vex-High ship." "Put it on screen." A different alien face appeared, this one looking much less confident than Kethfer had been. "Human vessel, I am Sub-Commander Veltar. We demand you surrender immediately." "Sub-Commander, I'm going to give you the same choice I gave your war leader. Release the human prisoners and leave this system, or join your flagship in defeat." "Impossible. We are still two ships against one. We will not be defeated by inferior humans." "Your call," Jake said, and signaled Amy to cut the transmission. The two remaining Vex-High ships opened fire together, trying to catch the Defiant in a crossfire. But Jake had anticipated this move. "Take us between them," he ordered. "Maximum speed." The Defiant shot forward, passing between the two alien ships so quickly that their weapons couldn't track it. As the human ship passed, it unleashed its full weapons power at both vessels simultaneously. The pulse weapons struck both ships at once, overwhelming their defenses and crippling their ability to fight back. Within minutes, all three Vex-High vessels were floating dead in space, their weapons destroyed and their engines offline. "All enemy ships disabled, Captain," Dan Rogers reported. "No significant damage to the Defiant." Jake allowed himself a small smile. "Casualties?" "None, sir. A few minor injuries from the evasive maneuvers, but nothing serious." "Sue, can you unlock those prisoner holds now?" "Already done, Captain. I've also disabled their security systems and activated their emergency life support. The prisoners should be safe." "Good work. Amy, open a channel to all three Vex-High ships." "Channel open, sir. This is Captain Morrison of the U.E.S. Defiant. Your ships are disabled and your weapons are destroyed. You have two choices. You can cooperate with us in releasing the human prisoners, or you can drift here until your life support fails. What's it going to be?" For several minutes, there was no response. Then War Leader Kethfor's face appeared on the screen again. The alien leader looked defeated and confused. "How?" he asked simply. "How did you defeat us so easily?" "Our ships are superior. Our weapons are more powerful. War Leader, you made the same mistake that a lot of species make when they first encounter. Humans, you assumed that because we prefer diplomacy, we're weak. You thought that because we try to avoid violence, we're bad at it." Jake stood up from his captain's chair. "You were wrong. Humans are very good at violence when we need to be. We just prefer not to use it unless we have to. But your ship is so small ... Size isn't everything, War Leader. Our weapons are more advanced, our ship is faster and more maneuverable, and our crew is better trained. Most importantly, we were fighting for our people. You were just following orders." Kethfer's yellow eyes stared at Jake with a mixture of respect and fear. "What do you want from us? First, you're going to release all the human prisoners. Second, you're going to return all the stolen human technology and equipment. Third, you're going to send a message to your government explaining what happened here." "And what message would that be?" Jake's expression grew cold. "That humans are not weak, that we will not allow our people to be taken as slaves, and that if the Vex-High Empire continues to attack human colonies, we will respond with overwhelming force." "You would declare war on our entire empire?" "War Leader, you declared war on us when you start.